Okay, and then text color by layer. Fill color, we don't want to have a fill color, so leave that as none. Text height will be 2 millimeters. Remember, this is for the dimensions. And then we can do an offset from dimension line of 1 millimeter, and then just click this box here aligned with dimension line. If that's not checked, as you can see in the preview window up here, if I click on horizontal, you'll get text along the vertical dimensions that kind of breaks the line and is displayed horizontally. We want those to actually display aligned with that vertical dimension. So check that one. For fit, just to show you, this is kind of the crucial step in the annotative style. In this tab, there's a box here for scale for dimension features. It'll be checked anyway, but not a bad idea to just confirm that. And then we'll slide over to primary units. Unit format is decimal. Precision, we just want the 0. We don't need to measure hundredths or tenths or thousandths of a millimeter. So just leave that at 0. And we're all set. So click OK and close. Okay, make sure you're on your dimension layer. And I'll get rid of these ones just so I can kind of show you from scratch. Okay, so I'm ready to start dimensioning. Crucial step again, make sure that this is at the scale that you're going to print at. So 1 to 100 in this case. The other thing to point out is I want to make sure, for the most part, that these two buttons are off. Okay, so just make sure that they're not, you'll see the color come into them when they're on. So just click them again, make sure they go kind of grayed out. I'll explain those in a bit, but just leave them off for now. And then I'm just going to start dimensioning. I'm going to type in DLI, which is the keyboard shortcut for dimension linear. And my snaps are on, of course, so I can just click one side to the next and then drag up. And I should see some nicely proportioned arrows and text for my dimension. Okay, I'm not going to dimension the whole thing. I just want to do that one for now. Actually, I'll do another one down here because this is kind of the area I want to focus on. So I will type in again DLI, and I'll just maybe run one right from here to here. Okay, so that dimension will now show when I want to print or when I set up a viewport in Paperspace that's scaled to 1 to 100. Now let's say that this is a dimension that's going to give me the overall building footprint, but then I want to switch to a drawing that's going to give me a detailed view of just this office, and it's going to be set to 1 to 50, okay, which is what the assignment calls for. So what I'm going to do then is, in anticipation of that, I'm going to switch this from 1 to 100 to 1 to 50. You'll see that dimension disappear. I'm going to type in DLI, and I'll just stretch one out inside this office. Okay, and it's going to give me that shorter dimension right there. Okay. So at the moment, if I switch back and forth between these two, I'll see one turn off and the other one turn on. And notice that when I do that, in addition to turning off and on according to the scale, the size also is different. Okay, and that's again in anticipation of the 1 to 50 drawing being a zoom in look at this drawing, which would otherwise make that text get really large. So basically what it does is it cuts that in half. I'll turn them both on for a second here. It cuts the 1 to 50 dimension in half so that when I zoom in, I do a 2 times zoom basically for that scale. The end result is that the text is the same size regardless. Okay, so I get 2 millimeter text for both of those dimensions because one's printing at 1 to 50, one's printing at 1 to 100. So let me explain now what these buttons mean here. Notice that I turned on this one right next to the annotation scale button. It's the annotation icon there with a little light bulb. When that's on, it's going to show me every dimension and every bit of text and then every other annotation object at whatever scale it's set to display at. So the 1 to 100 group dimensions and the 1 to 50 group dimensions will display simultaneously. Okay. Now, let's say that I switch this from 1 to 50 and I said to myself, well, now I want to actually show this one of these parts of this particular office at 1 to 20. So what's going to happen if I click 1 to 20? So they'll both disappear, correct? Okay? Unless, of course, I have this button on. So if I click that off, then they both disappear. So what do I do if I want to add 1 to 20 to those? Okay, well, I'm going to turn this button on again, just so I can see them. And let's say I just want to take this one and make it visible at 1 to 20. So this is an important command to know. I'm just going to type in object scale. Okay, object scale, hit enter. And now if I click on that dimension and hit enter, I'll see this annotation object scale dialog box. And you can see at the moment that this dimension currently is only set to display at 1 to 50. So if I click on add, I can add 1 to 20 or whatever other dimensions I want to add to that list. Similarly, if I get an extra one on there, I can delete it. So that one is now set to display at both sizes. I'm going to click this button off here, and there you can see now that that's set to 1 to 20. And notice how as you go down the list, from 1 to 100 to 1 to 20 and 1 to 1 to 10 and whatever else, that dimension will progressively get smaller and smaller, okay? In anticipation of basically more zooming in. Now, one last thing to deal with, I guess, before we move on to text. You might look at that and say, well, what do I do if maybe I've anticipated printing at 1 to 100 and then I realize I need to print at 1 to 50 and I've got all kinds of dimensions that I now have to update? Well, I can do multiple picks. So I'll switch to another example here. Like let's say this floor plan is currently set to display at 1 to 150, and then I realize, yeah, I want to go to 1 to 200. So I can again type in object scale, and I can do this one of two ways. I can either select an entire batch of these dimensions. If I know that they all have the same list, if they have the same object scale settings, I could select a whole batch of them, in which case they would all display, in this case, 1 to 150. But if I'm not quite sure, and maybe some of them have a different scale set and others have a different scale set, I can just select one. And let's say I'll pick this one here. I'll hit enter. There's the list of scales that it currently has loaded into it. I'll add 1 to 200. And I'll click OK. And then what I could do is I could switch to 1 to 200 here. Oops. There we go. So now it's the only dimension showing. And I'll just bring back 1 to 150. And I can actually just do match properties. So MA, keyboard shortcut for match properties. And I'll click that one, and then I can just sort of do multiple picks here. And hit enter. And now if I was to type in object scale again, and click on this one, I'll see that it now has 1 to 200 as well. So if I switch this, okay, now suddenly those ones have that new scale. Okay. So remember, the point of all this is to just have a nice, clean-looking paper space layout when I've got two different scales. It allows me to automatically adjust the size of the text, the size of the dimensions, and other objects. I can also actually make blocks that are annotative that will adjust automatically. And then I can avoid all that extra work that I would do to set up different styles for different scales.